Good afternoon. I'm Bradley McAllister. Welcome to Tumbleweed Thursday. All right. I say these are tumbleweeds. They came from Jeff Peters, and I did send him a text and ask him if these were tumbleweeds or something else. And I hadn't heard back from him, so I called them tumbleweeds. Michael, hope you're doing well today. We're going to get in here and see what we can do with these things. I got a whole bag back here. And this is not all. There's more in the van. Peter, or Jeff, excuse me, I always want to call him Peter. Jeff gave me all kinds of stuff up at AAW. This is just some of it. I've got a batch of seriously wormy cherry, like grub worm cherry eaten. Pretty cool stuff. Going to get to that one of these days for Jeff, and because I thank him for sending all this stuff. And as a matter of fact, Jeff was the first one yesterday to respond to the email that went out and has sent in a bunch of pictures for the website of different projects he's done with Spiracraft, products he's gotten from Spiracraft. And so I encourage everybody who's gotten products from Spiracraft and has made projects with them to send them in so we can put them on the website. And my nose is going to sneeze, so I'm going to just reach down and itch my nose. I was running back and forth outside and got all hot and sweaty, and now it's raining. And it's humid and all that good stuff, but I got the fan going. Yeah, Michael, he did fill up the van. There's a box of corrugated, not corrugated, but honeycomb cardboard and a whole bunch of cherry and tumbleweeds. And I was sitting around this morning trying to decide because I was working away on other stuff. I said, what am I going to do today? And I said, oh, those weeds, the tumbleweed-looking things, or sage. I wasn't sure if it was sagebrush or tumbleweeds. And if he pops in here, maybe he'll tell us. But I think it's sagebrush. So I kind of came up with these ideas. It'd be fun to cast it up, maybe play with it some, make some things stick to it, add some colors to it. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to be interesting. We are working with epoxy resin, 2-part epoxy resin. This happens to be Spiracraft 2-part epoxy resin, which this is just inventory stock that I have. It's currently, it's not being distributed right now. It's kind of on a hold, on intermission. This is product that I've had. So we don't have any Spiracraft epoxy resin currently available for sale. And hopefully they'll get that decided what they want to do with it, and we'll move forward. So that being said, let's see. Michael says, make sure to do that while I was at the van and you weren't. Yeah, I noticed that I came out to my van and discovered all of a sudden it was full of stuff. But that's okay. I don't mind in the least. So at least it's nice in here. I've got the AC dialed down to like 68, and I've got the fan. There's a fan right over there blowing on me because, like I say, you walk out the door and you instantly break into a sweat because it's so humid. You can see that I have cut my hair really short for the summertime. I don't just the cut is just short of being a highway patrolman. There's Rich. All right, buddy, good to see you. I was just talking about my haircut, and I got my summer South Georgia haircut going on, Rich, because it's just hot here. When I go over into the new building, the new workshop, which I don't have air conditioning in yet, it's typically like 104, 106. I have seen it to 116 in there. And so you walk in the door and it's just like an oven. Not too fun. But we'll take care of that one of these days. It's all on the list. So let's mix up some resin. Nothing fancy there. I'm going to use, and I've already sprayed these, my 15-ounce cups. These are Dunkin' Donuts. And they have the beautiful thing about these is they have, let me see if I can find something the black will work. You can see the dovetail is built in. So that goes right into a set of 2.5 inch, 2 3/8 jaws. It works great. So you don't have to make a dovetail, a tenon on your piece. My hair is long compared to yours. Well, that may be, Michael. And I'm thinking that Rich has no hair. Or very short hair, I should rephrase. That was politically incorrect to call you having no hair, Rich. But anyway, these cups, this is a system I've been using forever. It takes about 15 ounces, which what I do is I use my standard mixing ratio of 3 Dixie cups. Okay, and that's how I get. Oh, you've got hair. You've just always had a hat on. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, Heath Knuckles always has a hat on too, and he definitely has hair. So anyway, this epoxy is 2-to-1, 2 parts epoxy resin to 1 part hardener. So it's always really super easy to mix. And I think I'll go ahead and mix 2 batches, and then we'll put it in this big bucket, and we'll mix that all up so that it can get on its way to getting heated up a little bit, and to help with the progression. But I'll still use these to measure out. Now I've got a bunch of different jugs of this stuff out here, and I want to get the resin going, and then we'll get to playing with the weeds. And I'm trying to use up some older resin that I have around. There we go. And as you can see, I haven't cleaned my work table from the day of the dog bowl, or days of the dog bowl, which I forgot to show you guys last week. So here is said dog bowl, the Rustina metallic paint finish dog bowl, and it does now have the WRU20 urethane on it. So it has been sealed with a water-based urethane, so it's ready to go out to the porch. Maybe the kitty will eat out of it. Of course, the cat could sleep in it, but you know, whatever. So it came out pretty cool. I didn't do the bottom, but just the top. Just wanted to share that with you guys. It looks really cool. All right, and that's got bronze and iron on it. So we fill these all evenly. We'll go right up to that line. We'll use up this one today, and we'll use up some more. And what I might actually do, make my life a little bit easier, I might just start, that's just my measuring. See, I have this dog bowl for my mixing cup. Whatever works. It's a whole lot cheaper to buy plastic containers at the Dollar Tree for $1 than it is over at the home store for $3 for a little plastic bowl that's got some numbers on it that you don't necessarily always need. So we'll scrape this real clean. And we can just use it again. And what we'll do is we'll get this mixed up, and we'll take its temperature, which should be pretty cool right now. And then we'll just keep an eye on it with the thermostat. Listen to me, that's the project I got to do in the house. The thermometer, the digital thermometer, which is a great way to keep track of your resin temperature. And we'll test the temperature on this here in a minute. And like I say, you know, normally I do 3 of these. These are 5-ounce cups of yogurt. It makes 15 ounces more or less, and it works out about right. Now usually I put something more in the cup, the mold cup if you will, and it displaces a little bit, but we're not going to worry about that today. All right, and let's pour off. Let me get catalyst, and that sagebrush tumbleweed up against your leg there is a little scratchy. I've got cutters. I got my garden shears in here to trim it up. And I can't decide if I want to try and leave it whole. I'm open to suggestions here. If I want to try and leave it kind of in a whole state and stick it in the molds, or if I want to cut it into pieces, or we can do both. So that's one full one. So since we're here, let's just go ahead and do the other bit of hardener Hey, we used up that jug. Good deal. Let's get another one. We have plenty hanging around. One of my goals for today's project is to use up some of the resin parts and pieces that are hanging around. You can tell if you see this one, it's been around a while. It's got dust and stuff all over it. There we go. All right, so that's our hardeners. Two things of hardener. We've got 2 more of resin to go. And this is the academic part. And again, this epoxy always mixes by volume, not by weight. All right, let's empty out this old jug here. This will be the last of this jug. And then I have a whole nother gallon sitting right here. And I'm not going to drain the last, I'll drain that out on another occasion. I'm not going to drain the last little bit out of it, just the general amount. Because we got better things to do than watch resin dribble out of a jar, right? And we get some more here. This one's been around a little bit more. All right. Ooh. Don't put the lid on, Crooked Brad. We'll scoop this one off into here and go to mixing. Is that a southern term, go to mixing? Kind of like making biscuits. I have been so busy doing stuff on the website, and I had one of those classic issues, I don't know if I talked about it last week or whatnot, with the inventory program not working right, and I went round and round with the supplier, the provider, I guess is a better word to use, of the system. And it was a combination issue of WooCommerce and their componentry that was giving me trouble. Turns out I wasn't the only one it was giving trouble to. It's giving trouble to a lot of people. All right, so now we take our spatch and we start to mix. And out of curiosity, let's go ahead and see. Clean the screen here. 70, we'll call it 75.5, 75.7, 75.9, somewhere in there. Okay, so I'll wait. I would like to wait. Now, if we run out of time, so be it. I would like to wait till I'm on the above 100. And I've got the pressure pot literally sitting a couple of feet right here away. And so I want to wait till we're at least around 100, if not above. I will pour with this resin I've poured up to about 135 with the resin temperature. Okay, believe it or not. Now this is a little bit amber, as you can see. Boy, I hear the big old thunderstorms rumbling out there. Not that we don't need the rain, I'm not going to complain. Okay, So we'll mix this again later on after the fact. We'll set it right up here. A dog's life, right? That was 75 degrees at 118, I think it says there. Can't quite read the small numbers. Maybe I could look at my watch. Yeah, 118. I think I'll take my watch off. Well, I'm not turning today, I don't think. But no need to get resin all over the watch. All right, paper towels to clean up some drips. Okay, let's get a piece of this stuff up here. And it has a stem. Let me go to the overhead. Now, let me see if I pop that in. I don't know if it makes much difference on that end camera or not. We'll leave that. We don't really need it. It's kind of redundant right now. So you've got a stem here in the middle, and then this stuff goes off in kind of in every which way direction, and it has little spikes on it. One would think that they maybe should be wearing some gloves, but I'm going to go ahead and take a chance here, and I've got lots. I don't know if there's one that's like the perfect size already. Let's see here. Some are bigger, some are smaller. All right. Like I said, I don't even know if it's truly a tumbleweed or not, but I'm going to call it that. Now, if the storm comes in and lose the power, if I just disappear today, that means the thunderstorm came and the power went away. All right, that one's kind of smushed flat. That one doesn't do too much, so I'm going to stay with this big one that I've got here and play with my ideas. Got my clippers out here. And I'm going to take the top right out of this. All right. Actually, I'm going to go back down to about here. Okay. So now we've kind of separated that out. Here's the other part. All right. Now this would be interesting in a bowl too, but I didn't quite have my act together enough to be trying to pull this off in a bowl today. So, being the professional yard pruner that I am, I'm going to start cutting some pieces off of here. And I don't know if this is going to float or not, but let's see what happens when we start. And now I'm going to go ahead and pop you in an overlay there. I'm going to have little splinters all in me when I'm done with this. Okay, so I think I can take a little bit more off the bottom. The trick though is I don't want to lose all my limbs. So we'll just take a little bit off of there. Because remember, as it folds into the mold, it kind of fills the mold. And there's nothing that says that we can't stick extra in here. It looks like a sagebrush tumbleweed. Yeah, that's. I'm calling it both. I'm calling it sagebrush / tumbleweed. Because I'm not 100% sure. When Mr. Peters shows up today, if he does. So we'll find out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another, I'm going to kind of layer this. And actually I'm going to do it inverted. All right. One up, one down. Okay. To help kind of fill the bottom there a little bit. So that's one. And I think this is going to float. So I'm going to poke these today so that I can put a skewer in if I need to. just to run across it to keep them from floating up. Now, one of the things I wanted to try, I had this idea of trying to put some color on one of these ahead of time. Okay, so now this one is all kind of still all over the place at the moment. So let's see how we can trim this up. It's real short and wide now. So what I think we'll do is we'll take the limbs off this way. We'll prune it, and then we'll take our prunings. And I'm thinking what I want to do, I'm going to take a bowl, and I think I'm going to try and dye this. It's not been stabilized. Okay. But I'm going to try and dye it, and the dye will dry really quick. We've got time for that. Jeff, what have you gotten me into, my friend? All right. So I have a bowl, I have a plastic bowl around here, a bucket, and I'm going to pour some dye in there and get this wet. Okay. And I am going to put on gloves because I will make a mess. And also, I cut the fool out of my finger just a little bit before I came out here. I was shipping orders, and I was shipping out one of the new EasyWood Tools beading cutters on a shaft, on a Easy Start cutter, and I just swished it across that finger, and I got a big old paper well, I got a carbide cut, I guess you could call it. I got a carbide cut. Now, I had two different thoughts on playing with affecting this stuff. One, I wanted to see if I could dye it and let the dye dry and put it in. The other was I wanted to dip it in the epoxy and then sprinkle decorative color elements onto it. I even brought some fluorescent spin gems over. I don't know if I could get them to stick or not. That might be kind of messy. But I'll try anything. So let me go and get my plastic bucket. I'm going to put you in the overhead real quick. Hey, you don't get this kind of stuff every day, everywhere. You know? You never know what you're going to get on Spiracraft Live. And so this is going to be kind of a splash and dash kind of thing. And this bottle of red dye will become something special when we pour it back. I'll have to make a note about it. That it has been one with the tumbleweed. All right. And I don't even know if this is going to work. But that's how I like to try things. So, take the tumbleweed down into the bucket. I don't want to break it up, even though I'm going to have to compress it, but I'm just kind of swirling it around to get the dye on it. Sometimes the simplest and most crude can be the most effective. Now you know why I put on a glove. Even I have my limits for glovelessness. Cool. All right. So it seems to take the color pretty well. And we'll get this all colored up as best we can, and then we'll set it off and let it dry. That's the fast way to put color on something, isn't it? Like all over my lathe. I'll be cleaning that up when we're done today. Sorry, Rich. It kind of clicked on me there. And I happen to have an empty box over here, which is going to be perfect for putting this in. And now I'm going to pull these gloves off and clean that lathe off real quick. Just because I hate having the red dye all over the nice new Nebula. And hopefully I don't make a mess cleaning this up. If it is, I'll clean it up after the fact. But hang with me here for just a minute as I get some of this dye off of here before it has a chance to really dry. And hopefully I don't make a big old mess. Oh, there's that cut. I should have left the gloves on. Yeah, we'll be doing some extra work cleaning this off. Okay. It'll take a little more work than I had hoped. Well, I guess I christened it Rich. It can't have anything nice. Yeah, I feel bad. I really do. I was working hard to keep this guy sparkling clean. But, oh well. We'll get it off of there. Or not. I was just hoping that this denatured alcohol would take it off quick. We may have to go a little stronger, is all, than that. Okay. All right. You're right. Can't have anything nice for long. Let's take the temperature on this. I know it hasn't gone up much. 79.8. Give it another stir. So there's all kinds of things. I got all kinds of goodies out here. I got all kinds of colors. I've got easy inlay gold. Can you imagine me trying to, and I might do this, mix the easy inlay gold into there? I don't know. That might be kind of too crazy. But I wanted to see if I could make spin gems stick to it. You know? And I don't know if that will work or not, but I think I'm going to try it. Have I heard anything more about the traveling Neptune lathe? No, but I was looking at an email that had Tom's name on it. And I said, I need to write to Tom and see about getting that for, is there any chance I'm going to be able to get one for SWAT? And I know, Rich, that's not your wheelhouse. That's Tom's. I need to get a hold of him and see if that's going to be possible to make that work out. All right, so I'm going to see if I can find another. I got buckets all over the place. Let me grab another one. Hang on just a sec while I walk by here. Okay, so this is the beauty of having a Dollar Tree just up the street. All right. And the overhead, let me pop up back here. So I'm going to take some of this resin, pour it in the sand pail, stick that sagebrush into the resin, and pour some spin gems into it, and see if they will have any inclination of hanging on to it or not. And then we'll pour this extra resin back. See where I'm coming from here? Get my gloves, new pair of gloves on. I don't think this is going to do what I want it to, but there are other things that I know will stick to it, like glitter, and pearl powders and things like that. So this is the concept of adding color to the piece beforehand, or the item beforehand. So let's get this in here, get it resined up. I'm just going to make a good old mess today, I know. So the spin gems, they won't affect the color of the resin. Now that I got these gloves on, I got stuff all over the place. And they may or may not stick. We'll find out. I'll use this towel to open these spin gems. These are fluorescents. Oh, I didn't turn the camera back over. Sorry about the back of my head there, gang. Some fluorescent. Let me put you in the overhead here. There we go. And what I want is for these to stick to the limbs. Okay? Because if they will stick to the limbs, then they won't sink to the bottom of the cup. The specific gravity is heavier than anything else, and they sink in the resin to the bottom of the mold. But my theory, and I could be completely washed up on this, is that if they'll stick to these limbs and be stuck there when the resin is added, then they won't sink down. If that makes any sense. Okay, so to a degree, they are indeed sticking to the limbs. To a degree. All right. Now I got this resin over here that's got spin gems all in it. But let's see if we can get this back in here without making a terrible mess. Okay, that's not too bad. Now I don't have a strainer, or I would be able to strain these spin gems off. Probably I'll just let them go to the bottom on that one. Okay, so boy, that's messy, but that's all good because I got my finger. I'm not getting anything on the lathe resin wise because I've got my table. I got a little color here and there, but otherwise not too bad. Get these gloves off. There we go. Takes about 2 seconds to sweat out a pair of gloves here. Okay, let's put that over there. Come back up here. So some of my plans are working. Some of my concepts and my ideas here are working. You can see that the little spin gems did stick to it. It looks not like a Christmas tree. I'm not sure what we would describe it as. Okay. Paper towel for that mess on there. I had thought about trying to get something to turn while I was in between here, but then I decided I would be making a mess and get all caught up in that. So I decided we'll just work with the resin today. Now this looks pretty cool. And I don't know that it's dry yet, but I'm going to put this box here and then I'm going to go into the overhead for you. So it picked up the red dye nicely. Okay. Pretty cool. So you can dye this stuff any color you want without having to get crazy into stabilizing it. All right. So that's ready to go. I think I'm going to put on fresh. I got boxes and boxes of gloves, and that's a good thing. And we're going to get that into a mold. And then I think we're going to start to add, pop back up here. Get that off. We'll start to add some pearl powders. Get off. Off. Thank you. Off. Being obstinate. I'm going to get this red into the mold, and then we're going to kind of just powder it with some of the different pearl powders. That's my plan. Hoping Jeff will pop in here and see this. I know he'll watch it after the fact. But this red looks pretty nice. Okay. And my thought for at least one of these is to make a little resin goblet. And I don't mind if it sticks out the top a little bit. So that looks pretty cool. With this red color there. All right, and sticking out the top and all that stuff. I'm going to push it down in there a little bit. I didn't poke holes in this one yet. Take my ice pick. Just in case this stuff decides it wants to float. Make that hole a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, now I've got a variety of pearl powders here. And this one happens to be iridescent blue. And this is the way I'm gonna kind of try to go about this, just for fun. Just kind of drizzle it down in there. And that's blue. So blue and gold, this is regular gold pearlescent powder, not iridescent. Even the powders in this humidity, even in the jars, they get sticky, so to speak. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and push this down, push this through, and curl this around here in the top. Put my shish kebab skewer in through here. Well, broke that one, didn't I? We have more. We have lots more. Can't get a good skewer these days, you know? Oh, I skewered my glove. How's that? Get in there. Okay, so that's working pretty well. And I can tuck these up under here. All right, and we're just going to let that sit because our resin temperature is probably just now barely getting into the 80s, I'm guessing. 77, so when I took away half of it, it kind of slowed down. So most of the spin gems are on the bottom right now of the bucket. So what we'll do, get over there, is we'll pour this back in. There's going to be just a little bit of spin gem color right there. And that's all right. It'll sink to the bottom as well. But the bulk of it is down in there. Let me see if I can make my own sieve sort of. Not too well. It's kind of like Fruit Loop colors in there. As you can see, there's still a whole lot of spin gem that was down on the bottom. So we just got a little bit into our resin. And I got virtually all the resin out of there. All right? So crude but effective were my methods. It'll just have a few pops of extra color floating around in it. All right, so we know this guy's ready to roll. And I'm going to take my shears and cut off the excess here so it doesn't get in the way. So that one is good to go. Let's see what I can show you from what it looks like from the side. Kind of hard to, way up there. Kind of hard to see from the side there. Better in the overhead. All right. Now, let's go ahead and add some, pardon my reach, some pearl powders into this one. And this one's going to get a little satin white. Now, what I'm hoping is that the spin gems don't float off of the branches. Okay, that's what I'm kind of hoping. And I've used those other colors. Let me walk over here to my color box and get another color for this one. Iridescent purple, that might be kind of cool. And then we're going to mix up some of the resin and put a little bit of tint to it. We're not going to try and put any tint in it in here because there's no way to stir it. And I know that this powder is going to wash down a little bit as the resin goes in. Okay, let's put its stick in, get it ready. This is like the world's simplest method to keep things from floating up and without having to do anything. It looks like I've got enough eggs, spin gems left over to do an egg. You know, I probably do. And that's a good idea. Because I love doing the little eggs and having a small little extra something or another hanging around. Okay, let's trim this guy up. And if I wanted to, I could make myself a hook to drop these down in pressure pot, but I can just kind of hold on to them. All right, so there's those two guys. They're sitting there waiting ready. Here's our resin over here, and you know, hopefully I haven't cut myself short on the resin. And I'd like to see it a lot hotter. It's just now 1:45. So it's picked up. It decided to start to move, and it's now 87. Well, it was a second ago. What was I hitting? 86. So the resin is warming up. Especially when I recombine the two, it picked up almost 10 degrees. Just by putting them back together, because as the mass is bigger, pop back up here. As the mass of resin is bigger, it's going to heat up exotherm faster, and so combining the two back together, And I'm going to split it back apart into some 5-ounce cups to mix up some colors, some color swirl to pour it in there. And because this has such a long open time, it has a 2-hour open time. If I pour it now, mix my colors and pour it now at 86 degrees, all the colors are going to blend together before it starts to set up and kick. So if I wait till that 100 degrees or more, I get a lot better delineation. You know, unlike say Alumilite, which sets up in 15-20 minutes depending on which ones you're using, or less actually. You know, so you can mix it and throw it in the pot, and you know that the colors aren't going to blend together. With this, that's not the option, but the beauty of this is you can mix it up and do different things with it depending on what you're doing, and you don't have to worry about it setting up before you get a chance to get it into the pressure pot. So there's pros and cons to both styles of the fast urethane and the slow epoxies to work with. But this is coming along nicely. And I think, and I'll go looking for that egg. I'm going to leave a lot of it clear. I think I'll just I'll mix 4 colors, and whatever's left over will be clear. That will go in. So we'll mix them together. So you can see the cups here, and although I want this to continue to heat up, I want to go ahead and move along. So I'm going to bring all these over here and pop up to the overhead. Get everything back in the frame. Because I can kind of move these out of the way for now. And this will be 20 out of 30 ounces approximately. And if we do this now, theoretically, the spin gems will settle back down a little bit. Although the one that's got the spin gems all in it, I should have had like a sieve to pull out the spin gems, but I hadn't tried this movie before. I hadn't seen this movie before, so that's what you get. Hey, Joe! So I'm in here playing with resin and doing all kinds of fun, crazy things. Just short of making a mess. I did manage to get red aniline dye all over the new nebula. And Rich was here to watch. So that's how that goes. All right, so a little color. What kind of color do we want? We want a little bit of white. And so I shake this really, really well. I'm going to put a little bit of white, not a lot, in 2 of them. I'm going to put a little bit of red. Let me shake my red. Yeah, you're still there. You can hear me talking about you saying you got to watch me put red dye all over the nice new nebula. At least we know it gets used, right? A little bit of red here. May still have the seal on it. It does. That's why you have to have an ice pick. Can't function without an ice pick. Now I have red all over my gloves. And I don't quite want yet. A little bit of red on those 2. Let's give those a stir. See how they look so far. This should give me, won't be pink, obviously, but it's going to be, with the white and red, it's going to just tone that down. So I got more red than I wanted in the first one, so I matched it on the second one. Okay, and this other one, I'm thinking phthalo blue. So the red's going to go on the one that has all the spin gems stuck to it. The blue will go in the red one. We'll try and leave it a little more translucent. There we go. That's not quite so opaque. You can see when the stick comes out, it's not overly opaque. And then I'm going to go find my favorite, which is gold, iridescent gold, which will go with both of these. Okay, and I know I didn't bring it over here, but I'm going to go look for the iridescent gold over here in my color box. Let's see here. You should be here. There's regular gold. Ran out of time to find all the colors. It was getting pretty close. Iridescent red. But I should have some iridescent gold in here. Should. Famous last words. I'll end up having every iridescent color but gold over here. There's the bottle. There we go. So here's a little bit of iridescent gold, and it's white, like the other iridescents. And I'm going to add this to all of them. It's pearl powder. I always use that precise measurement just because I like to just wing it. I've been told I wing it, so I don't want to let anybody down. So you see what I mean by having this long open time? I can sit here and fool around and play with colors and talk up a storm and not have to worry about having everything all lined out and prepared. I can change my mind. So I kind of like that open time. Now, there's times when I wish I could just throw something in a pot and be done. But I like having the extra open time. These will be fun. If they don't crash and burn, we'll turn them next week. We'll turn them into goblets, I'm thinking. Just little resin goblets. Haven't turned any resin in a while. Don't know what we'll see of the weed in there. We'll find out. Scrape that down. I'll let both of those sit. And don't spill it, Bradley. Come on over here to these. Both the blue and gold and the red and gold are always nice combinations. Like I said, we're going to put all blue in one and all red in the other one. And then a little bit of clear on top. And then I might throw some more stuff on top of that and just let it float down through. Trying to keep it all in the cups. I almost made a comment about the White House, but I decided to let it go. Get in there, mix in. All right, we'll go back to these, because once they've been in there a little bit, it's easier to mix. There we go. Now that color's coming up. You see the gold coming up on the blue. Here we go. I like the way that's working. The one thing I have learned is about with the white resin tint. The white resin tint is different than all the rest. You have to be careful and not use a lot, because it's actually heavier than all the rest and will sink if you don't stir it in well enough. So always go sparingly on the white resin tint. Now I saw somewhere, and I'm going to have to go find it and add it. I have been after pink resin tint forever, and the folks at Spiracraft told me you can't make it, but somebody has it. Now I don't know how they did it or whatever, but there was a brand of tints that has pink. Rich might know, and I want some pink. I want to do pink projects. It's a fun color to work with artistically, because you can do so much with it. Get this one all settled in there. Scrape the rim. All the good stuff. How am I doing on, what's the time? 2 o'clock straight up. Neon pink. I don't know if it was neon, Rich, but it was definitely pink. And pink is kind of neonish on of its own, but I would say no, it wasn't a neon pink, just a pink. Of course, there's only 37 million shades of pink. And the other thing I want is pink aniline dye, and that's the one they've told me that they can't. There is no white, they say, and somebody has white aniline dye. That's what it was. That's what it was. I was thinking. I was confusing my products. I'm just making sure this is nicely blended. Let's take a look at our temperatures. They've probably cooled back down or slowed back down. Divine Island pigments, maybe. I'll check it out. So we're going up slowly. 90, 89, 90. That one's at 89. I don't know why that one's headed up so. 90. Yeah, we're doing good. So, optimally I'd like 10 more degrees. So maybe if I drag my feet just a little bit more. Well, actually, I've already got that done. And the only other thing I'm going to do is add the clear. So let's go ahead and do this. The blue goes to the red. Got to keep them straight. Bubblegum pink, that's what I want. Bubblegum pink would be great. So here goes 5 ounces of blue with the gold in it. I don't know if this shows up in the in camera all that much. I mean, it shows up. And we'll leave the spin gems in the bottom of it. Take my little stick here, Try and kind of holds back some of the spin gems. Kind of hard to do because they're pretty small. Maybe I'll just let them go ahead and go to the bottom. Or maybe we'll save them for the egg. So that's really showing only about half full. All right, now I want to go ahead and wait until I've done my other one before I start pouring the clear in. And then if I have to mix some more, well then I will, as far as clear goes. Now it would be at two different temperature ranges. Now this one I don't care if the spin gems go in there because it's got spin gems in it. So Michael, this black shelf will not be coming to Waco, okay? So you don't have to worry about trying to clean it up or putting stuff on it. This one will just stay right here in the studio. Okay. So the only thing that's left then, as far as resin is clear. And I don't know which is better, the overhead or the side. I think I'll do it in the side. Leave it there. And I'm going to put these side by side and just kind of go back and forth to kind of divide it up evenly. There goes the spin gems. So I want to mix up a little bit more. I'm going to make one more small batch, small batch. Oh, pardon my arm there. Just to fill these up, okay? So let's get some of this stuff out of the way. We're going to make one more little batch, real quick like. And I just so happen, I don't want a whole 15. But I just so happen to have these little, I put them away, there they are. These little cups, and this will work. Because the ratio, as long as it's even, it doesn't matter what size we're working with here. So I'll put those up front. Put our mixing cup there. So I've got these little teeny cups here, a little like 1 ounce guys. A few wood chips won't hurt anything, will it? All right, there we go. And some more hardener. Real quick. Put it in the cup, Brad, would be good. I might end up doing this twice. Don't know where it all disappeared to, but we've got time. So if that's the case, well then so be it. So this is not 5, this is only 3 ounces. So I think these are 1 ounce little cups. Like I say, if we need another batch, we can make one up. No big deal. Definitely a glove day, even for me. Now again, granted, this resin that I'm pouring in is going to be cooler, so hopefully that temperature differential doesn't make a big deal as it sets up. Scrape the sides down really well. And even better yet, another thing you can do is double mix or double pour, if you will. So you take it out of the first container so that if you missed anything on the sides and that first one isn't contaminated or is not mixed thoroughly, you pull it off there. It's just a yogurt cup. And then mix again. And I've got a feeling I'm going to do this for each of these, because it looks like that's about how much it's going to take to fill these up. I'm pouring that right down the middle. I'm going to actually want a little bit more, but I don't have anything in between. So we'll go faster. We'll leave these open. Make another batch. It is nice to be able, it's always good to make, have to make a little extra than to have too much extra. Now, a little extra left over is not bad. You can always pour it into your, as seen on TV, egg mold and be all good. But if you make a quart too much or a pint too much, well, then you've wasted your funds. And that's no good. So I'm going to set both of these down here where I can kick them over. I kind of like the idea of putting that clear right down the middle, and then I'll take a stick once I'm all done and just kind of give it a stab, if you will, just to kind of blend that clear around a little bit. There's a little nub in the bottom of these that the stick hits when you're trying to pull it out. And what we can do is just back mix this one into the other one. This will actually be more than I need, I think, for this one, because I can only go as high as my skewer stick. And then it'll start to leak out. So we scrape it out of that one into this one, mix again. And we know now that we can make a double shot for the other one. And that's going to literally take us right up to our skewer. I mean, if it drains out of the skewer just a little bit, well, that's okay. I don't mind. Okay, so we have just a touch left over in there. All right, so let's make up another batch for this other guy. Another double batch, if you will. And knowing that, we'll go 1, 2, and that'll take care of that. If I had one more of those, I could do it all in one shot. Let me see if I only had 3. I'm talking to myself, so don't pay any attention. Get this in here real quick. We'll do one more double batch. And then we'll take a skewer and go down inside of both of them. I'll get this big gallon jug out of the way here in a sec. These things are getting pretty slippery. So next week will be, this was interesting. Tomorrow or next week will be fun because we'll be turning these guys and we'll see how all this came out. All right. And the lid on and on the floor. And out of the way of the pressure pot. Okay. Scoop these out. First time ever casting sagebrush tumbleweeds. And this is going to be a full cup. It's going to be 6 ounces technically, plus there was a little bit left in the bottom. Now, if I was to get this ratio wrong, one of the things with epoxy, it may not cure right away, but it would eventually cure. Might take 6 months or whatever, but it would eventually cure. So this is kind of full, so I'm having to mix gently until I get the hardener mixed in, because the hardener is much more liquid. It's quite much more thin than the viscous resin. And we'll pour this off one time. Which will help with the mixing. I like looking. I know I'm looking close. The limbs with the spin gems on them look kind of cool. Again, I don't know if they'll get washed away or not. All right. Right up to the stick. So that's going to be about as perfect as I can get, volume-wise. All right. So not too bad. We'll pull these over here. I can feel them starting to get warm. I'm going to walk around and get another stick, a small skinny stick. And I said that I was going to add something else to this, and I just feel like doing it. And I'm going to add a hint of black pearlescent powder. Famous last words being a hint. A little bit there. Get the lid back on that before I let go. It's very slippery now. Take my skewer and just kind of go up and down through here. Because you can't stir, but you can poke and prod. And I've got that clear, all that clear that I just poured into the middle. So I'm just kind of pushing that down. All right, and that's starting to, you can see how it kind of, well, you can't in that shot, but it kind of muddies up the color a little bit. Let me walk around here and get one more stir stick. It will be interesting to turn these and see what it looks like when we open up the limbs of each one as we turn the piece next week. So if you came in late, the one that I'm poking at now, we took aniline dye and dyed the sagebrush / tumbleweed blood red, and it took the dye quite well. We just put it in a bucket and kind of swirled it around in it. And it worked quite well. And so there are our two colors, our two containers from overhead, and the side shot, actually you get to see them pretty well. I think this one's the one that's running. Hopefully there's no hole in the bottom. I'm seeing a lot of resin here on the tabletop. Get a paper towel real quick. I don't know if I was just messy. Might have just been messy. Or if there was a hole, or if I just running out the skewer stick holes. Not sure. Now, while I'm here and we've got it right there, so that new resin is a little bit cooler, 86, 85 down on the side at the bottom. We're 91 there. About 90 on this other one. So we cooled it down a little bit by adding that fresh resin to it. But we're at the 90-degree mark. And I think we can go ahead and pop these in the pressure pot. We got 221. I can't quite tell here. $222. Okay. And the pressure pot's just right back here behind me. And I'm going to actually move it a little bit because it's half on the mat and half off and not sitting flat. So we'll move it to where it sits flat. And pop our cups in there. Get out of those nasty gloves. You can't see this, but I'm going to pop the lid on here. So at the woodworking shows, which I have committed to going back out to, I would actually do a class on mixing resin, popping it in the pressure pot, And then the next day, I would do that on Friday, and then the next day I would turn it for a class on Saturday. So even with the 2-hour open time overnight, you give it 24 hours to cure, and it would be fine. It might be a little on the soft side. Obviously wasn't completely cured, but not bad. Okay, we're going to pop a little air pressure to this guy. Hang on just a second, then I'll change the camera back. And voila, she starts to fill up. Compressor next door kicks on. It's coming up to 70 pounds. It's a good deal. All right. Sweet. So that was it. I have fun. We've mixed up a mess. We got stuff all over our lathe, but we were successful in casting. We haven't turned it yet, but we were successful in casting our sagebrush slash tumbleweed. We dyed one of them with aniline dye ahead of time. Put blood red aniline dye on. It's kind of a cream color, this stuff. So if you weren't here earlier, this is what we've been working with. And it's, if you're not familiar, it's prickly. Yeah, I dyed the lathe too. I did indeed. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate that. So this is some funky stuff, but it took the dye well, and I'm sure you could stabilize it as well. Now the other thing is, I'm thinking this has got all these little convolutions, and it's going to hold a lot of air. So it didn't hurt anything at all to be putting this in the pot at say 90 degrees. Because we've probably got another 20 minutes in there before it starts to go to 105, 110 and start to kind of think about setting up. But this is holding a lot of air inside in the mold with it. There's a lot of air molecules attached to that. And so it needed to be in the pot and have the time before it starts to cure for the pressure pot to compress those air bubbles and take care of that issue. But that's what this was all about, is this good stuff right here. And you never know what you can put just about anything in resin. Some things will work better than others. Tomorrow, and I keep saying tomorrow, it's like I'm going to be back out here tomorrow turning. Next week, we will turn this. I don't have anything else planned, so this seems like as good a thing as any, and we can turn them both, at least rough turn them, and see how they came out. Again, my first thought is to make 2 little goblets out of them, kind of long, thin stem resin goblets. So we'll get them thin again, and we should have exposure to the plant at every level and at different angles. So that should make it interesting to see how, when we cut through it, what it looks like. Should be good fun. That's what I'm looking forward to that. I did make a mess today, but I kept it pretty well confined to my tray, and then of course the accidental splash over onto the lathe, which I will find. I'll probably go get some acetone or maybe even some MEK and see if I can't get that off of there without cutting the paint off of the lathe. Because I don't really want to have red dots on it forever, even though I knew it was a matter of time. As Rich well knows, if you use the same lathe, if you're in one space and you do everything on the lathe and you work with dyes in resin, you're going to get it on there sooner or later. Hopefully later was the plan. So I made it. I don't know, how long have I had this? Did I get it last spring? I got it in the spring. I think so. Last fall, I can't remember now. I made it a few months, Rich, before I got stuff all over it. So anyway, that was good fun. It's like 2:20, 2:30, something like that. We'll wrap it up today at that time, hour and a half. Look forward to next week with this. Keep an eye on Spiracraft social media for the post for what I'm up to. I've been putting a lot of stuff out. New products are going on the website all the time now. and putting stuff out there. So keep an eye on all the social. Jump over to the website. If you didn't read your email from Spiracraft, read it. Send me pictures, you guys, especially you guys that are here. I'm expecting pictures of your some of your work with products that you've bought from Spiracraft to make, and so that I can put it on with that particular product. Rich, Michael, Joe, whomever else might be here whose name I don't see. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to hit the music on the way out, and we will see you next week. Appreciate it. Take care. Be safe, and see you next Thursday.